What is happening, everybody? All right, so in looking more into the GT500, basically just kind of scouring the internet for different reviews on the car, different owners' experiences, things like that, my disappointment has now grown a little bit. So let me kind of bring you guys up to speed a little bit. I've made in other videos remarks about how I was so excited about that car before its release. And here we are in 2020, the cars are out now, and when the dual clutch transmission was first announced, I had my reservations, but now that I've seen them on the drag strip, at least on videos, because I haven't seen one in real life at this point, at the drag strip, again, where I am pretty much every weekend, by the way. So if one shows up, I'll certainly catch it. But anyway, back to the point. The fact of the matter is the car is just flat out not performing as well as it should, especially when you look at the dollar signs on that car. So let's run this thing back real quick. GT500 with the dual clutch transmission in basically just garden variety form is somewhere around $80,000. You could probably roll out of there with one, maybe stickering it at 75, but you're still going to be paying a premium, so around 80 grand, give or take. The problem with that is it is kind of it's the worst of both worlds with that dual clutch transmission. Not enthusiast friendly in the fact that it's not an actual manual transmission a la the old GT500, and the fact that it's not a real automatic, meaning it's not a torque converter automatic, which means that it's given up probably close to half a second in the quarter mile based on power to weight ratio. Right now, the best of the breed is somewhere around 1060, 1050, 1070, somewhere in that range, but like a density altitude corrected 1060. And that's being a little bit generous, but not overly. Well, if that car on a tire, keeping in mind, those times were on basically a street tire, because the DSG doesn't allow the transmission to throw enough torque to the ground to get the car to launch. Had that car been given a torque converter transmission, put a tire on that thing, and you're talking about a car that would easily be a 1020 car without really sweating much at all. So it bums me out that the car was kind of shackled with this DSG transmission, not only in performance, but in cost. Let me remind you guys that DSG transmission is around $20,000. And if you compare that to what would possibly be its replacement, like a built automatic, which would come in maybe at $7,000, and that's really stretching it based on marginal utility on the side of the manufacturer, now you're talking about a $13,000 price difference. A $13,000 price difference is a mile away from where that thing is priced now, and instead of being 75, you're looking at maybe, I don't know, 62, possibly less. A $60,000 GT500 proposition with an automatic where you're guaranteed 1020s is a nasty position to be in. And with modifications being much easier, transmission tuning being far and away easier and familiar, you're talking about a car that would have easily gone 940s with just a little bit of boost thrown at it and a little transmission tuning. It wouldn't even take a different fuel. You could get there probably on 93 octane. 40s might be a bit ambitious, but at least it's a goal worth shooting for. The way that it sits now, that will never happen. And I don't want to hear about what somebody's one-off car is doing without a passenger seat, back seats, gutted, and everything else. Couldn't be less interested in that. What I'm talking about is that it would be feasible with that torque converter transmission the way that the car sits on a wheel and tire setup that is, proper for drag racing. I guess my point is this. The more I look at that car, the more frustrated I get, because as I've stated in the past, that was the next car to go in my garage. I was salivating over the concept of that car, 10-speed automatic, drag pack, pulley, tune, transmission tune, and accidentally going out and running 940s or 950s. Hell, even just minor tuning with that car transmission or otherwise, would probably hack at least a couple of tenths off of that. Basically, you'd be scaring nines with a stock car just the way that it sits. Oh, wait a minute. I'm kind of already doing that with old ass technology. Big girl sitting behind me is already covering that nut. So anyway, wanted to share those thoughts with